This episode is sponsored by MJ's Progress Not Perfection Meeting Center Association. We are in our meeting center where we do all these meetings for mental health and addiction. I can do this podcast anywhere. I can do this at home. I can do this in a closet. I can do this in a basement. It doesn't matter. All I need is somebody else to talk to about addiction and recovery. What I can't do from anywhere is help people with their addiction and their mental health problems. So if you can help out, we do have a Venmo, we have a Cash App, we have a PayPal, we have an address you can send a check to, and all the money that gets donated goes towards rent, goes towards keeping the lights on, and goes towards keeping the internet on. So please, if you can give $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter. Anything you can is so appreciated. And if you are a local business, if you're a national business, whatever, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, you can reach out to me and we can talk about how you can be a sponsor. But I'll let you get back to the episode.
Okay. Welcome to the show, Celia.
Thank you.
So how much clean time do you have now?
So I have 2 years and 2 months and like 16 days. I think I just checked it today. Yeah.
2 years and two
So,
months.
yeah.
Okay, so what was going on when you went into like your recovery? Like what
This
started it?
last time.
Yeah.
This last time. Okay. So, um, I was on methadone while I was pregnant and everything. And I just like never got off of it. Now I'm for and I'm for Matt, I'm for all of it, obviously, but I was just on it and not trying to get better, and I was even after she was born, I was just still like saying, oh, I have to have my methadone, but I was also smoking dope too. So it was just mostly it was just to keep my parents like thinking that I was interested in recovery, like I'm got my
Yeah.
one foot in, But
Yeah.
okay, so my daughter was actually removed from my care, removed from my home because her father and I had a domestic violence issue. And so when they came in the home for that, then they found out about like all the drugs and drug use. And so it just got even worse. So then they took her November 2018, and I couldn't like come back to my house or anything. I mean, I lived with my parents at the time, but my parents were like, lock the doors, change the locks, like you can't come back. They're like, they CPS took Emery, and we can't even get her back because you live here with us, and you're not fit to be her mom, so she can't be around you. So we can't even get her back. And so I'm freaking out. She's in Child Haven, and she's was only 2, had her binkies and everything, and it was just, like I always try and say, like, I took care of her. She was clean, she was fed, but the attention just wasn't there. So
Yeah.
yeah, but so yeah, that really woke me up is when they removed her from my home and I couldn't come home. And so I was clean for I actually had to call a friend that I've been friends with since elementary school to come pick me up because I, had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And I lived with her and her family for 87 days. Well, it was around like 80 days. And then I say 87 because I relapsed on my 87th day. It was just like all too much too fast. Like I got a job really fast. I wasn't even trying to do treatment.
You
CPS
were
was like,
trying
you
to
can do
go
drug
from
court.
yeah. You were trying to go from like being an addict to being completely regular, like that never happened.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
You're just like, oh, if I just do all this like regular shit, then it's like none of that actually happened.
Let me just
Yeah.
start checking these boxes to get everything in order, make it look great.
Oh, it's completely like textbook addict, like what we all try to do. I feel like I talk to so many people that they're like, yeah, the first time I tried to quit, this is what happened, and it's always like we get in our heads like, all right, we nailed it, and then
Mm-hmm.
no,
I'm good now.
no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It
It
never.
was not. It was a little too much responsibility.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was like, oh, I have a job, and oh, now I have my apartment, and I'm getting all these bills and things started in my own name, and I'm trying to get her room ready so CPS can see and be like, oh, she's done so well, let's give her back her kid. She's
yeah.
great. Yeah, that one wasn't happening. They were like, come on, like, we know. Like, I was like, I'm not going to do drug court anymore. I think I'm going to focus on a job, so I can provide for
Is that
her.
your
And they're
first
just
time
like,
ever in trouble?
no, like, I've been arrested before. I've been in jail for things before, drugs, but no, I've always left rehabs that my parents would put me in, or like I'd be like in like a legal hold, 5150, can't leave for 72 hours. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
became really good at those AMA, signing against medical advice and just dipping. Be- so
It's funny
I
that
just
that
wanted that for show.
5150, that's like it's called like something different like all over the place. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, is it?
yeah, like I forget what it's called in Pennsylvania. But I know it's not 5150, but I know that term for when I went to rehab in California. So
Okay.
like I've heard that term when I was out west. So
Yeah, I live in Nevada, so right over
okay, that
there.
makes sense. You're not the first person from Nevada. I've had a few on here. I had some,
Really?
like biker dude, and he had some crazy stories. He was from Southern California, and like he got high in Las Vegas for a while, but now he's been sober there for a while too.
That's weird.
And then I talked to somebody I know from LA that moved there in sobriety to Las Vegas,
Mm,
and she's been there since, you know, right before COVID, but being sober the entire time. And
nice.
then I talked to somebody that I know from that I met from TikTok, like you, recently. That I forget. No, her episode didn't come out yet, but yeah, she was out like by Las Vegas, but not in Las Vegas. But I know it was in
Mhm.
Nevada.
In Henderson.
So probably, yeah. But I talk to
Mhm.
people like an AA out there and NA out there, and what kind of program do you do?
So
You
when
don't have to say that. You
I
don't have to say the fellowship, but do you like do steps or
oh
anything like that?
no, I mean not anymore. I don't anymore. When I went to rehab, yeah, I was all about it. I'm like, I want to do AA, I want to do NA, I want to just do everything I can. I'm gonna take every suggestion I can, just all of it. But and then I was sober. I did the abstinent thing for 18 months, and now I smoke weed, but it's like I'm so self-aware now. It's also almost become like annoying. Like I think like do I have addict behavior in everything I do? It's like, yeah, unfortunately, yes, I do.
Yeah, yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah, to the point where you're like indoctrinated, so you question everything. You know what I mean? And I know because I use
Mhm.
cannabis also, but I've been
Okay.
using it since day one,
Mhm.
so it's a
Oh,
little
since day
different.
one of your journey. Okay.
Yeah, like I went to a treatment center that used it. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
awesome. Oh,
That was like why I went to LA.
that
So
would that would be amazing.
the only I
They
don't
wouldn't
smoke.
let me in drug court.
I don't smoke it though. I don't smoke it though. That's the difference.
No,
I
you do
use
edibles.
when we don't have edibles in PA, I use RSO capsules.
Okay.
Did you ever
Mhm.
hear RSO, Rick Simpson oil?
I've seen that, and like, is that the same thing as like this? It's in a syringe, and you put it like in your belly
Yeah.
button or something like that.
Mhm.
Okay, I've heard of seen about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty
But
interesting.
they also come in capsules, inside of
Okay.
little pill capsules, because the problem is when like you have the syringe thing, it gets all like really sticky, like on whatever
Mhm.
surface you put it on, and you end up losing so much. And if
Oh
you
yeah.
lose it in your roof of your mouth, it's not breaking down in your stomach like it's supposed to. So at least with
Mm,
the capsules, when you take it with food, it breaks down with the food properly, and you get the full effect from it.
that makes more sense. Yeah.
So yeah, you end up using a lot less that way. But anyway, yeah. So that was with me though. So now, when did all your addiction start? Was it with drinking early on, or was it drugs early on?
Drugs, always drugs early on. And I feel like I have a predisposition towards alcohol because, like, I was married before. I mean, him and I were together since sixth grade, and like we were together forever. But he was a full blown alcoholic, and so was his father and his brother. But it's just he still held a job, he still paid bills, he still took care of me, and all of it. But I didn't like to party like that. I didn't like to drink, and it made me sick to my stomach. And so what he actually su- suggested is that I take pain medicine, because that's when it was like in the beginning where everybody's like Lortabs, like Somas. That was like way, way, way back then. So I'm like, okay, I'll take a Lortab, and then I'm like, I like this. I can actually hang out and party with everybody. He's happy because he gets to drink and party still, and
Yeah,
yeah, it escalated so quickly. Like, yeah, yeah, just pills, always pills. But
that was
weed too.
pills were my thing though.
Oh,
What?
really?
Yeah, I
Opiates
got in 2008.
or
Yeah,
all?
with Roxy's. What did you
Yeah.
end up getting into Roxy's?
Oh yeah, I was doing the Roxy thing in 2008. I graduated in '06, and I was already doing like floor tabs and stuff in '06.
Yeah,
But yeah, Roxy, smoking the Roxys by like 2008 sounds about right. Yeah.
it's because I found Somas in 2005 when I was a senior. So it's
Yeah.
because like we would, I was like, I'm not an like at first you're like I'm not an alcoholic, and then I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, we drank like 70 nights straight when we were like seniors in high
Yeah.
school, at least a 6 pack a night. Like we were counting the days in a row kind of thing.
Oh my God,
That
no.
kind of streak. It ended up being like in the 60s. And like without like weekends, everything, weekdays, and every day we would take somas in the morning,
Mhm.
and because we'd be hungover.
Oh yeah.
But that would be our first period. We'd all be in the back of class just being like just like dead.
Hurting. Yeah.
Just dead. So yeah, I remember them, but that was definitely my introduction as well though, was those all the way. I forgot all about that. Wow, that was a while ago.
Right.
So yeah, we're the same age. So yeah, when did you first get arrested with them then?
It was 2012. I was it was like December 27th, 2012. And yeah, I had like 5 different types of pills on me. I was passed out at a gas station. I don't know. I was unresponsive in my car. It was just all bad. Yeah. All bad.
Now, what did I see about the car chase?
Oh yeah, okay. So that was my last run, definitely. So, and then I went on my last relapse with this guy that I've known since I was 15. So, I've grown up here, so I keep the same friends, all doing the same things.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we just went out in Centennial Hills, like, nicer area of Vegas, and we had a stolen car, a couple of them, but the one we got in our police chase with was like a burnt orange, like the brightest, red orange color Mustang. And I kid you not, we had been, running from the cops for like 6 months, a good 6 months at this point, and so we were thinking nothing of it. But that morning, we had actually scored some Xanax, and we both kind of made a joke because we were like, "Oh, we're going to jail tonight," because you do with Xanax, you just shit happens.
Yeah, Xanax is yeah.
You're a klepto. It's bad. But we like made a joke about it, like, haha, and I'm not even kidding. Like, we were in this chase like 2 hours later because we were trying to rob a Lowe's or something. And so they they chase us out of there. The bike cops are even like chasing us. We get into this like neighborhood and we're thinking, holy shit, we're actually gonna get away from them again? Like, really? We go to get out of the car. No, the ghetto bird's up there for sure. It's like he took off. He's like, bye, babe. He took off running, and I'm like, dude, I'm sitting my ass down. Like, I'm done. Okay,
Yeah,
your
here
ass
on
is gonna
Xanax.
get chewed up by the dogs. Okay, yeah, and that's exactly what happened. The dogs tore apart his leg. I saw him later in booking, But it's like at this point, I'm like, no, homie, we're done. Like the bird's out, the cops are all gonna be here in 5 seconds. I'm not running nowhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy the
I was
rest
done.
of this Xanax high while I
Yeah,
can.
yeah. I actually ate a few more
I
just
was gonna
because I
say, yeah,
knew.
I'm gonna get a
Yeah.
little more high before the rest of this night goes really sideways.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh
And
my
and then I always say I'm not really a big drinker, but for some reason in that panic, I threw the bottle of vodka we had in the car in my purse. Like, oh, can't leave this behind. Like, what?
yeah, like
No.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole klepto thing, that's you hit it like right on the head. Like, did you even remember? Because whenever I stole on Xanax, I have zero to this day. I know the outcome of every single time of what happened. It was never
Mhm.
good, but
Yeah.
I can never tell you a single moment of the crime itself happening because of Xanax itself.
Mhm.
Can you recall anything from Lowe's or no? Probably not.
No, and I was always in the car to drive away when he'd be running out. But yeah, but we didn't really take Xanax a whole lot this last relapse. It was just like the day we do, and we made that joke. We kind of spoke it into existence. But like I'm saying, at this point, I was already off on, it was like a 9-month relapse now. my kid is about to be removed from my care completely. Like, they aren't even going to consider giving her back to me if I don't get my shit together.
Yeah.
And like, it just, my addiction just got so bad that, like, this, I never was shooting up before. And this last time, like, every day, all day, like, insane. Thank God I only OD'd one time. Um, but it's just insane how crazy, you can be like clean or on methadone or, whatever you consider it. You're not living the lifestyle. That's the part. You're not doing
Yeah.
the lifestyle anymore. But then it just, it's like riding a bike. As sad as it is to say, it's just so easy to just slip right back there.
I always think about how like there's always like this stigma of how we count days though. You know what I mean? And sometimes
Hmm.
like once you've already like gotten sober and then you relapse, you kind of have the fuck it's when you relapse
Hmm.
because you kind of have that mentality of like, well, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go right now.
Hmm.
Like
I'm
if
gonna
I'm
go
going to
all out.
yeah, if I'm going to keep going this way when I get sober, I won't have any regrets about when I had this run. And you
Yeah.
kind of
Hmm.
just have the fuck it's because you already know what the other side is. And then you have even more guilt
Yeah.
and more shame about what you're doing because you do know, especially if you ran any kind of program the first time and you paid attention
Hmm.
and you know that it is kind
Yeah.
of inside yourself and not just externally and you do have kind of control in it. It's like
Yeah.
it can be rough, you know.
I
So,
mean, and yeah, I don't practice any kind of program anymore, but definitely this time, like trying doing that and going inpatient and everything, definitely I know what you mean now. Because if I were to relapse now, I like, no, girlfriend, you know what you need to do. Like, relapse starts way before you take that pill or drink or whatever.
yeah.
So that's why I say I'm so self-aware. It's annoying, but like I have to be.
You have to be though. No, it's you especially when you can be to to an extent to where you're not being self-critical and harmful, right? Because there's
Mhm.
a difference. There are a lot of people out there that will be, way too self-aware, but to a point where they're being self-critical the entire time, just being doing negative self-talk the entire time.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where you're just being honest with yourself about things that you're either doing or saying that you want to be, cognizant of, you know.
Mhm.
So it is a good thing to be self-aware because that's the first place we relapse is in our head,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
So, and
Absolutely.
part of your recovery, like you post a lot of, TikTok recovery videos.
Mhm.
When did you get started doing that?
So I came home from rehab uh Christmas 2019. So yeah, right after the pandemic started in March, I think it was like May, I downloaded TikTok, but I still didn't post anything for like a whole year or something. I just didn't even know how I stood. I think I was still in that mentality where I was like, this is gonna be a distant memory. Like, we're all gonna forget that Celia was a drug addict and no big deal. I'm not gonna put it on the internet for us all to remember. And then it was just, yeah, you gotta check yourself. Like, dude, you're a drug addict. You always will be. And that happened. So
Yeah.
take
I
something
find
good
it
out of
really
it, I
free.
guess.
I find it really freeing to just like put it out there. No one could ever use it against me.
Yeah,
No
right.
one can no one can ever say to me, "Yeah, well, you were a drug addict." Like, yeah, I know that. Everybody knows that. I put it
Yeah.
on the internet every week.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this.
Oh,
Like, so it
yeah.
just
I
it
made
takes
fun of
it takes
myself.
the
It's
power.
fine.
You know what I mean? It gives us the power back
Oh
in
yeah.
saying that, like, yeah, that is a part of who I am, but like, it doesn't
Hmm.
mean it's who I am. You know.
Right. Yeah.
So, what made you want to make all these videos?
I guess because I was getting more proud of myself. You know what it was is I actually, because for the longest time I couldn't forgive myself. I could not forgive myself for being this piece of shit. Like, I was terrible. I did terrible things. I couldn't forgive myself. And my therapist would just keep telling me, okay, the more time you work on yourself, you're gonna love yourself again. You're gonna forgive yourself again. And she was right.
So
I literally have.
you were going to therapy though while you got sober?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Good.
After
That's awesome.
inpatient, I did IOP, OP, and she's
Yeah.
my same she's my same therapist that I've had this whole time.
That's amazing.
Like she's like, so do you think you need to come every week now or every other week? Is that okay? And I'm like, really? Can we just like talk for like 30 minutes once a week? I mean, I just need. It's
Yeah.
so beneficial. Even if you
Yeah.
don't have issues like I do, it's beneficial. But,
No, I think that's awesome. I'm so glad that you have like that kind of mentorship, like that kind of person to
mhm,
talk to. Because
mhm.
whether it's some people they can't afford therapy or they can't do therapy, but at least they can get a sponsor. A
Yeah.
sponsor is free or somebody to mentor or whatever. But yeah, therapist, that's awesome to have the entire time, especially one that you want to see as often as you do. Because you
Oh
probably
yeah.
do it on Zoom or something, right? Since the
Mhm.
pandemic and everything. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That makes it I feel like it
Yeah.
makes it
It's.
I heard that a therapist said once that they don't like it because the clients actually show up for the appointments. Like
Okay.
before they could bill you because like you're like, oh, I don't feel like dealing with traffic. I'm just not gonna go. It's whatever. And then they just
Mm.
bill you. But now everyone shows up because you can be anywhere. You can be in the
Right
grocery
here.
store parking lot. Be like, hey, I'm here for my.
Yeah.
Let's talk it out. This is where I
Here's my
want to be.
pajamas. Yeah. I
No,
know.
no,
I like it.
yeah.
But
I mean,
quarantine actually helped me in my sobriety. Quarantine helped me. I know a lot of people it didn't, but weirdly enough, it helped me.
no, I can totally agree. I mean, that's when mine started again, restarted the clock. My wife and our sober date is leap day, which is 2/29. So, and
hmm
then, everything shut down 2 weeks later on the 12th. So,
Yeah.
we were like, okay, well, here we go. So there
Yeah.
was
We're
no
doing
going
it.
to meetings or anything like that, like I did the first time. So we just talked to each other. You know what I mean? We were just
Yeah.
making sure we were being self-aware. We have our medical cards, so we did use cannabis, but
hmm
I don't smoke, so that's
Right.
just something that I don't do. But either way, like we were talking to each other the entire time, and then once
hmm
COVID lifted up, then we opened up our meeting center.
That's
So
awesome.
because the support is really good to have. So have you been getting like a lot back from like the support on TikTok too?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That and what I did too before I ever started posting TikToks was found Sammy, sober comedy Sammy, and his Zoom all recovery meetings, and I literally went to those what was it, Wednesdays and Fridays? Yeah, Wednesdays and Fridays. I know I went every Wednesday, but that was a really cool place to meet people, a lot of people from TikTok. And then like after I got off of here, this is where it's hard for me with programs because like I tried to continue like AA at my church when I came home, and they were like, and then I was gonna chair the meeting, and they were like, but wait, you don't identify as an alcoholic. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought we were cool. Like, I like you guys, but I just, I couldn't like chair, and I wasn't going to go any further, in that group. So I just was like, all right, bye, whatever. And then
Yeah.
I feel like an asshole too, going to any meetings and like, I have never gone to a meeting like high on, weed or anything, but I don't think that's fair. Have all these people are completely abstinent and they're putting in the work and they're doing everything. And I know that if that was me, I'm like completely abstinent, and then somebody over here is like, oh yeah, I'm here. I just smoked some weed though. I can do that if I want to. It would definitely discourage me. I'd be like, what are you doing? You can't be here then. I don't know,
Yeah,
but I
it's
felt
not
weird
that
about
big.
it.
Yeah, it's not that
Even
big
I
of a
even went,
deal.
Auntie, what's her name, Jamie. No, you don't think so? It was just me getting in my head
Well, I mean,
thinking.
I've done it like I said since day one. You know what I
hmm
mean? But
But
it's
did you share that?
no. I mean, they knew, they did know. My sponsor
But you
knew.
didn't say anything. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone knew that I used it in my recovery. I was very open about it. Only one group really had a problem with it. And they were open about it, and it is what it
hmm
is. But yeah, I mean, it's not like I was like, hey, I'm JD, I'm an alcoholic, and I use weed too. It's not like that's how like I opened and identified. It's just
Right.
it had come up a few times, but I just it's to me, it's not like the reason I'm sober today. I use the steps. I got, a lot out of using the steps. I recommend the
hmm
steps to anybody, whether you're an alcoholic, an addict, or just regular and just want some improvement in your life. If you want to learn how to let something go in your life,
Mhm.
because that's pretty much all you're letting
Oh
go
yeah.
is, it's a relationship that you're letting go of, and you have to move on from
Mhm.
and stop, relapsing on and going back to and move on from.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just a horrible relationship that you need to break up and move on. So, and the steps help with that a
Mhm.
lot. So that's why everybody uses the same steps. It's just they change the word around for alcoholic.
This episode is sponsored by MJ's Progress Not Perfection Meeting Center Association. We are in our meeting center where we do all these meetings for mental health and addiction. I can do this podcast anywhere. I can do this at home. I can do this in a closet. I can do this in a basement. It doesn't matter. All I need is somebody else to talk to about addiction and recovery. What I can't do from anywhere is help people with their addiction and their mental health problems. So if you can help out, we do have a Venmo, we have a Cash App, we have a PayPal, we have an address you can send a check to, and all the money that gets donated goes towards rent, goes towards keeping the lights on, and goes towards keeping the internet on. So please, if you can give $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter. Anything you can is so appreciated. And if you are a local business, if you're a national business, whatever, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, you can reach out to me and we can talk about how you can be a sponsor. But I'll let you get back to the episode.
Right. I know. And then the sponsor I had got when I came home and went to that meeting at the church, she was awesome. She identified as an alcoholic, but she was like, "Look, I'm an addict too. Like I used all the drugs that you have." She was just trying to make me feel like, you could be here, you could do this. And she was awesome. She took me through my steps. She had like packets of like homework and shit. I'm like, "All right, I'm for it. I'll do it."
Did you ever
I'll do
watch
it.
Mom? That show,
Oh yeah,
Mom?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
That
that's
show's
what,
fucking hilarious.
they're in AA on that show. They identify as
Mhm.
alcoholics on the show. But you always
Mhm.
hear whenever like, Bonnie relapsed, it was always like on drugs. You
Yeah.
know. So like and they would always like talk about all the drugs that they did. So it's not
Yeah,
just
not
about
just
that. Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just
It's the
yeah.
disease.
No, it is. And a lot of it is in our head too, because that same group, I got so in my head that I relapsed, and
Yeah.
I started drinking again. So I didn't relapse on pills. Luckily, I'm
Mhm.
still, good from there. But yeah, I
Mhm.
did drink again eventually, and then I quit drinking again on leap day.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, the meetings and the support, whether it's virtually, through Zoom or whether it's through just like Facebook groups, there's a lot of things you can do virtually now, which is pretty cool. Even therapy, like
Mhm.
BetterHelp and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
No
they're one of the
excuses.
yeah, no, yeah, they're one of the sponsors because what is it that I know my wife tried to get therapy around here and it's like a 6 month wait. Yeah.
Yeah, like how did they expect
Like
people to do that?
and BetterHelp you can do it in 48 hours.
Nice. Yeah.
So, you know, but I think it's like we said, like everybody's there for their appointment, so it's a lot easier. Like nothing's
Yeah.
in person. So, how has it been lately then, like getting through the holidays?
It hasn't been so bad. The only I mean, it's just hard around the holidays, not even drug related, but with my family because we just lost my grandma like 2 years ago. So things are still kind of weird. But I mean, and I know they say holidays are a lot harder on people too, but I mean, luckily, I guess I haven't noticed it being harder for holidays.
Well, that's good then. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it depends on the individual, like of what your holidays were like, when you were drinking or when you were using. Because,
Hmm.
like, when did you start using? How old were you?
17.
17. And
Hmm.
when was like the height of it?
Oh, like probably 5 years ago.
5 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes 2016. But that's not your sober date, though. You had some relapses
No.
since then.
Yeah, I relapsed after I had my daughter. But yeah, right before I got pregnant with my daughter in 2015 was like the worst. My addiction. Well, I wasn't shooting it, but I was like selling it, living in, I was homeless but squatting in a house. Like it was just that way. It got bad that way. But I
Okay.
didn't go to holidays, or if I did, I was super high and in the bathroom all the time and don't
Yeah.
remember anything, you know. So it's just insane to think like I thought no one could tell. You know?
Yeah.
It's
Now,
wild.
how have you felt lately with like how open you've been like on the internet with, a lot of people with your story and everything?
See, like my mom, she watches my TikToks. My sister-in-law, she likes them too. Um, I guess I'm not. I was worried about it at first until I started to forgive myself and just start saying it is what it is. Let's just keep, can only go up from here. So I just don't share things like I told you I was shooting this last relapse. And now I've never said those words to my parents, but they know because I left a bag here. I know I had a clean one in it. I came back from jail, it was gone. Like they know. They've just never said it to me and I've never said the words to them. But that's one thing that I haven't really been too open on the internet about.
You want me to take it out?
No, no, it's fine.
This will be the debut.
Yep.
Yep,
Get it
good.
all out.
Get it out. There's your therapeutic part of
See?
it of letting it go and putting it out there. And it does make it a lot easier though because it makes it real. It makes you feel more accountable about it. It's like,
Mhm.
all right, that really happened. Now they know it happened, and we can accept the fact that it happened and move on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is what it is. Like you're
It
still
is
who
what
you
it
are
is.
today. You know.
Yeah, I think it's like I wanted to be like, yeah, but let me accomplish more, so I could be like, yeah, that happened, but look at me now.
Yeah.
It was more of like a padding thing for me. Like I was nervous.
Yeah. Well, no, that makes sense. So, and I think it's totally okay that there's still actually a lot of places where you can do meetings like with using cannabis too, in being in recovery.
Hmm.
Like there's been a girl on my show that she has her own show on Instagram, called 420 Recovery,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, it's all about people that use cannabis in their recovery. So like she's been on my show a couple times. I've been
Okay.
on her show a couple times. So like she's pretty cool.
Nice.
She was in a police chase herself also because her and her
Yeah.
husband in addiction robbed some banks in Texas.
Oh, whoops.
Yep, can't do that anymore.
No. Dang.
So yeah, she told
Are
that
they?
story.
They're cool. Her and her husband are cool to like together.
Yeah,
They got
actually,
better together.
yeah. So they're one of a few couples that I know that I've had two different on here where I talked to the woman, and but they're still married to them, and they were in active addiction with them, and now they're still happily married in sobriety.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and there's another couple that I've been talking to about doing an episode, and I wanted to do a special where like I talk to all the couples. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
one couple about what it was like in addiction together as a couple, and like you know, because the one
Yeah.
couple was they were going from Ohio to Florida 7 times a month,
Oh
22
shit.
hours for 5 years.
Damn. That's a lot of
So,
work.
yeah, but you know how those pills were back then. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, because they
Mhm.
were coming back with like 2,000 pills each month.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Then they
So,
saw him.
exactly. So it
What?
ends up being worth the driving, obviously. So, but I'm glad that you're doing as well as you are now and like finding a way to make it work. Like, tailoring
Mhm.
your own program. Like it's not a one
Yeah.
size fits all program because that's not what it's supposed to be, in my opinion.
Mhm. No, and I usually am pretty like specific or calculated, I guess. I like to know if I do A and B, this is the result, and if I just do it right like that. So it's been challenging for me to be like, but what is the answer? Please just tell me the answer and I will do it right.
Yeah, yeah,
No, figure it out yourself.
that makes a
So
lot of
that's what.
sense, though. Yeah, but I think that's what does make it work, though, is that it is something different and it's
Mm,
something that you can't kind of manipulate either.
right.
I think when you kind of expect an answer, you can kind of manipulate the answer too. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh yeah.
So this time you can, and you're kind of just trusting it's going to work. I mean, you're doing a lot of different things between just being open on social media for the first time, because
Hmm.
during the other times when you got clean, you weren't being, open and honest about it. You were just like sweeping it under the rug.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like
And
the old days. You know how they talk about the old stories of like the family members in the 70s where they're like, oh yeah, they had a drinking problem, but we don't talk about that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
like it never even happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it never happened. We just shh. No, we don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, so it's you're taking ownership of it, and I
Yeah.
think that makes you feel more accountable. This way you're like, you know what, I really can't relapse. Everyone knows what I'm doing. I put it out there.
Hmm. And it came like it was a lot of ego too. I had to like in recovery in the beginning my brother would still be like, yeah, but mom and dad, they really should have done this, and but they did that and it really fucked you up worse. And I'm like, I know, but let's just like, I can't keep blaming them and blaming them and blaming them. And that would mean that I am not taking responsibility, because to me responsibility equals action. I have to take the responsibility and do better, be better, be
Yeah.
different
It would
with
be
with
so
the
much
information.
easier. Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
easier to say, "Oh, it's their fault." But
Mhm.
yeah, and guess what? They don't. Yeah, I give my parents credit. They didn't have Google.
Yeah.
They did the best that they could.
Mhm.
My parents had me when they were 23 in 1986. They figured
Mhm.
it out.
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
They didn't get no manual. That was
No.
their first time. It's their first time too. So, and definitely being a parent, I'm like, you guys had no fucking clue. Okay, all
No,
right,
I
cool.
jumped in at 5. I'm a stepdad. I jumped in at 5 and I co-parent. So it's like hopscotch. That's where I jumped in. You know what I mean? Like where they
Nice.
were already going, I just like kind of hopped into the mix.
Yeah,
So
where can I help out?
yeah. So, I give them is credit. They did the best they could, and we went on family vacations, and my brother and sister are fine.
Yeah.
So, they just it's statistics, They
Yeah.
had 3 kids, what they
Oh
expect.
yeah.
They're not all not gonna come out good.
Yeah, and you can't blame them. And really, too, I had to say, like, I really didn't have like a terrible childhood. Like, crazy things happened, and I didn't deal with them appropriately. But other than that, it's like, no, I can't be like blaming my parents. I had a terrible childhood, blah blah blah. No, I was just a jerk, and
Yeah.
I
That's
just
it.
wanted to get high. That's all.
And are you the oldest?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So like that's how I feel like that too. I was just like no,
So
and then
you're
plus
you're
I wanted to rebel. I wanted to any rule they gave me, I was gonna break it. They would tell I would find out that my parents threw a party when they were in high school, and then I would throw a party this way. I could say, well, you did it when you were in high school. You know what I mean? Like I was that kind of person.
mhm.
I was gonna find a
Yeah.
reason or an
And I
excuse to do it.
really, yeah. And I really feel like my parents had the one thing they did instill was this manipulation mastery, because when every time I got in trouble, I had to present my case to my parents, and I got to be a part of my sentencing, my groundation. And so I knew how to talk, I knew how to use the words persuasive this, and I even got, it was like a couple weeks before my 18th birthday, and I'm like, take it, okay, listen. I can't just have free reign within 24 hours. Let's start this. Okay, let's move my curfew to like 1, and let's just see how I do with it. Because it was just I did that through my whole addiction too. Manipulate the shit out of everyone and everything. So
Yeah.
bad.
You missed your calling as like a trial lawyer.
Oh yeah, I was
like
definitely supposed to.
you
Definitely supposed to be a lawyer.
you had a lot of practice at presenting your evidence and making sure you had a good opening statement and
Oh
closing
yeah, I'll
statement.
argue both sides of the case.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I know that
Yeah.
feeling though, and especially as the oldest, and I almost feel like I learned a lot of lessons that so my siblings didn't have to.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I
Oh yeah.
mean? Like I have a brother and a sister and we're really close, all 3 of us. But luckily there's a lot of things that I did that they knew never to do.
Mhm. I kind of felt,
So,
yeah.
is there only 2 of
I'm
you?
like, I showed you. Yeah. I feel like with my brother, I'm like, see, I'm showing you how not to do life, you know?
Yeah.
But no, he's doing great. He's awesome. He's 2.5 years younger than me. He's doing great. He has his family and his career. It's just like, what happened?
And you have your daughter back and everything now too. You have full custody.
Oh, yeah. I got full custody back, and I'm fighting with the courts right now because I'm trying to get his name. I know this sounds terrible. I'm just trying to get his name off of her birth certificate completely because she has his last name, as I'm an idiot, and I just want to
Wait,
change it
what?
back to mine. She has his last name. I
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
make sure, yeah, that all that, but he's not there. He hasn't seen her since that day, that, 2018. He has not seen her since that day, hasn't tried to. So I'm like, and he's
Has he
got
been
two
locked
older
up?
ones. No, he's homeless.
Oh,
Literally
okay.
homeless right over here. Like I see him riding his bike outside of Smith's, and just the shady shit that he lives in a tunnel over here by the high school. It's just,
I just saw something on that, like on I forget, was it maybe it would have been Vice or something like that, or one of those specials, but how it was about the underground like population of homeless people in Vegas and
mhm,
how it's like through the roof, and the only thing they ever have to fear is like whenever it does rain, is that it
floods.
floods out and people could die extremely easily.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never been like down there where it's like miles and miles, but yeah, he's just over here in this little tunnel by the school. Uh, yeah, it's scary down there. It's
Yeah.
scary down there.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. I saw like they were going down there. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't fuck with those tunnels. Like, no way.
You know,
I don't. I mean,
headlamp.
maybe if my dude was like, you have to come through here to pick up, I'm like, okay, fine, but I'm using
Okay.
my phone, my phone's flashlight the entire time, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm bringing my dog with me, okay?
So-
Like, there's no
Somebody.
way I'm walking down that tunnel by myself. It's
Yeah.
way too fucking dark. So, but yeah, that's a shame. I mean, you
I mean,
can't.
it sucks that he's like 8 years older than me and just hasn't been sober long enough to get his shit back together. He has three beautiful daughters, and so I struggle back and forth with like, do I do this? Do I take his name off there completely and protect her from? But that's still always his daughter. I just go back and forth because I know I didn't love my daughter any less while I was out there. It,
Yeah,
and so I know he loves his kids. He's sick, but
yeah, and that's the thing is, and once we go out, we're just like, there's so much guilt ridden behind every single high. It just
hmm
like so much guilt behind it. So yeah, I mean, I get that completely. It's never relapse is never fun, especially when it lasts a while, especially when they always get worse.
yeah.
It's very rare that you have like a pretty easy relapse. Sometimes you can get lucky and you can be self-aware enough to where you can go, oh
Right.
wait, I gotta cut this because I see where
Right.
I just played the
I
tape
feel like
out.
I got that. Yeah, I feel like I got that I could be able to play that tape all the way through. Especially with like cravings and stuff like that. You just got to play it all the way through because you know where it's going to take you. It's just not, I feel like I've gotten to the point now too where I don't even, because everybody's always like, yeah, but maybe, and I can work out a plan and I can make it. So, like, that's your like lapse in judgment right
Yeah.
there.
Do you
But
ever
now I
do you,
feel like I'm far enough ahead where I'm like, that's not going to help anyone.
do you ever call out your cravings? Like if you ever have like not a craving or a trigger, if you
Um,
ever have like a trigger, do you ever like tell somebody about it?
oh yeah, my sister-in-law, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you have even somebody you can go to and even talk to about those kind of things too.
Yeah, and I actually nobody knows this, so don't put this in here, but I just recently started talking to my ex or whatever you want to call him, the guy who I went on this last run with. So I like stopped talking to him because he just wasn't taking his recovery like seriously, and I didn't want to date anybody for the first year, like you're supposed to.
Yep.
And I had to tell him off and be like, dude, I'm trying to focus. You need to focus. Like you got 6 years holding over your head, like get your shit together and get off my ass.
Yeah.
And I just left it alone from that day and was like, if it's meant to be and we're meant to speak again, then we will. And it's just so weird because a couple months ago he was like, I want to reach out, make an amends to you and just make sure that you're okay. And like I said, we've been friends since we're 15. So I don't know where I was going with that one. Well, why I was telling you that. Brain fart.
I mean, is it something that you're about your future? Or are you looking to?
Oh, no. Okay. So you said triggers. So him, like if I have like
Okay.
a trigger, like I can explain it to him and he knows to a T exactly what I'm feeling and exactly what I'm talking about. And he's in a good place now, in the right headspace to take it seriously. And like, and he's like, I can't drink. I know that if I drink, that's just going to take me right to a bag. And I'm like, good. You know that about yourself. I can support that, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's definitely good whenever you, and especially being honest about it too.
yeah.
It's one thing to be self-aware, but sometimes we can be self-aware and then ignore some things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's like, I know that's a bad idea, but, and then as soon as you say that but, it's a
Mm-hmm.
bad idea because you're trying to
Yeah.
justify it for some
Exactly.
reason.
The justifications. I'm trying to convince myself. I shouldn't need to convince myself.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, but either way, I'm glad your program's working for you. How it works for you. You
Oh,
know,
thank you.
that's awesome. So, but thanks for sitting down with me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I've been so nervous. I've never been like a speaker at a meeting or anything, so this was cool. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, it's definitely something different. I don't like to have like somebody be like, "Okay, talk, talk at me
Yeah.
now. I'll be waiting for you to dazzle me." Like,
Yeah.
no, I just rather just have a conversation, just
Conversation.
talk back and
Much
forth.
better.
Yeah, this way you feel
Mhm.
more comfortable talking. So,
Mhm.
thank you for taking the time to sit down and, open up for pretty much the first time ever.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, and I'm glad you felt comfortable enough to, share that and be like, you know what? No, I want that to be in there, and I want them to just like, it's who I was. It's not doesn't define me. It's just something that's part
Yeah.
of who I am, and it's not who I am. So
Right.
that's
Give us
awesome. But
time.
yep, thank you so much, Celia. Have a great night.
You too.
All
Bye.
right, bye bye.